into the next part of our evening for tonight, which is going to be when we're talking about goal setting. Okay? We're going to talk about risk and anything that's worth going after that has a risk. And risk almost always has a fear factor connected to it. So let me start with this question. So I won't be judged too harshly, because I don't really care. But it's an appropriate question. Who made a New Year's resolution this year? And who can tell me what is the percentage of people who fail in their resolutions every year? What is it?
90%.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's 90%. The statistic I have was 73%. So it's really, really high. Maybe it's 90%, maybe it's 73%. Either way, it's really high. But we're about to look at some of the ways that you can actually create a goal that you achieve. You can avoid being in the 73 to 90%. Well, the first thing to know about a goal is that it has three great characteristics. A great goal has three characteristics. Number one, it's heartfelt. That means that it energizes you, it excites you, it connects you to a sense of purpose, and passion. And with this, excuse me, without this, we'll lose interest. Because there's so many things in life that are pulling us one way or the other. And almost always, a worthwhile goal means that we're changing something about ourselves, something about our life, that we want to be better, that we want to be different. And there's a natural tendency, it's a human tendency, it's called homeostasis. We resist change. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to have change, you have to have a goal. The motivation to change has to be stronger than your motivation to remain the same. Otherwise, that human built-in motivation to stay the same will win, and you become the 73 or the 90% of the people who did not achieve their goal. Second, it has to be specific. I'm not going to go down that road. That's going to be Beverly. She's going to talk about that. She's our new VPE, and she's going to help us through that section of our goal setting. Third, it's what we talked about a little bit earlier. It has to be scary. Because the more important something is to us, the more that we have something to lose. And when we have something to lose or something to win, it becomes scary. Now the secret is that if we set goals that are terrifying, we go into what most people would call paralysis. It's just too scary, you kind of get frozen, you can't take action on it, you fall into the 90 to the 73%. That's what a lot of people do. They try to bite off too big of a chunk at one time. So what you do is you find a goal that pushes you to your edge, to where it's scary, but your voice of reason tells you that it's safe. And when you feel that sense of fear, and you feel that sense of passion and excitement, of like, oh, I really want this, I can see what this can actually do for me. This is why it's so important to me. You have that motivation, and you feel that fear. It's like, oh man, but you know you're on the right track. That is your compass, that is your true north. If it's not there, you need to check. Maybe it's not important enough to you. And if it's not important enough to you, you're not going to stick with it either. So what I'd like to do with you is go through a little goal-setting exercise. I handed out a piece of paper to everybody. Does everybody have something to write with, a pen or a pencil?
No.
You have one? Everybody has one? So I'm going to write down this. Write this down. Why are you here at Toastmasters? So in other words, what do you really want? What is it you're looking for? Is it more confidence? Is it ease of power? Or is it ease, power of communication? Do you want to build your business or your career? Do you want to serve others by spreading your message? Whatever it is for you, you're the one that needs to know that it has to be inspiring. If you walk in this door, you wrote a check, and you're making a commitment to be here every week, every other week, whatever it is you show up, you have a reason. What is that reason for you? Why is it so important? Now, ask yourself this question and write it down. If you had everything that you came here for, and it was so good that it could not get any better, okay? You have everything that you came here for, and it's so good that it cannot get any better. What would that give you? How would that look? How would it feel? What would it make possible for you? Why is that so inspiring for you? Would it give you more freedom? A feeling of fulfillment? Maybe it gives you peace. Maybe it's inspiration. What is it for you? And having this, how would it impact your life or the life of others? Remember to make this inspiring to you and a little scary to you at the same time. The riskier and the scarier it feels, the better it is, the more likely you are to go after it. But you want to be manageable. You'll be able to manage the fear. Have that inspiration. You know you're on the right track. And once you have a goal that is heartfelt and inspiring and a little bit scary to you, you need a plan to achieve it. And that's where Beverly is going to help us out. And now she's going to lead us through those steps.
I've given everybody a handout so you all can pass them. You got a few passes this way, pass them this way, and we'll all have one.
Get our names on this?
Sure. Okay, as your new VPE, one of the things I wanted to do is make sure that we have some educational moments. So this is going to be one of them. How many of you all have heard of the 1 minute management? Okay, there you go.
Ready.
So I am going to take Mr. Timer 1 minute. Isn't that exciting? 1 minute to talk about writing SMART goals. Remember last week during my speech I used an acronym for FAIL?
Yes.
First attempt in learning?
Yes.
So this is my first attempt in learning. All right, writing SMART goals. The S-M-A-R-T, I found every word under the sun. They had all kinds of acronyms for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-bound. The point is, you want to create a goal that allows you to be more likely to be successful. So if I say, for example, I want to lose weight, not specific, is it?
No.
Not really measurable. But what about if I say, I want to lose 30 pounds? Okay. Then, is that more specific?
Yes.
Okay. Is that measurable? Yes, if I get on a scale. Okay. Is that achievable? You know, it depends. Depends on what I know about nutrition. It depends on my skill level in terms of being disciplined, right? Okay. So what you want to do is say, I want to lose weight. I want to lose 30 pounds in the next 6 months. So it's time bound. But I also am basically saying, I need to learn something about how to lose weight in order to make it achievable and realistic. So that gives me 1 minute. You turn to the back of your sheet. All we're asking you to do is take 5 easy steps to writing your goal. So whatever your goal at Toastmasters is, I want you to take those steps and do it. You want to be a CC by the end of the year, a CC in the next 3 months. I want you to write that goal down and make it smart. So what is your reach goal for Toastmasters in 2016? And you all should be writing. Everybody's looking at me. If you need help, your mentor might be sitting somewhere in the room. But what I really want you to do is make it specific, make it measurable, make it attainable, make it realistic, make it time-bound, write it down so that you make it happen. Because it's more likely to happen if you're writing it down. And then, if some of you don't mind, you can share your goals with the rest of us, because you know if you have a group of people who are behind you and supporting you, you're more likely to achieve your goal.
And just a little note too, that the little exercise that we just did, of what you're really passionate about, and related to Toastmasters, that could be a really good clue of what kind of goals you want to set. So maybe it's to, whatever it is, how are you going to take these goals, giving speeches, taking on roles, how is that going to help you achieve that goal?
Maybe you want to be in the contest, and you want to be the winner here, the district winner, and maybe you want to be the best public speaker in the world. Don't know what your goals are, but whatever they are, write them down. Everybody's looking at you. Looking at you here. You're just thinking. Oh, okay. Kind of look up at me if you finish, so I can know what percentage of people have finished. Does anybody want to share? Al?
I'll share. My ultimate goal is to speak slowly or slower, lessen my filler words, and seem more intelligent or inarticulate, as it applies to my work, because I'm a public speaker.
So that's pretty specific, right? How are you going to measure?
I'm going to watch myself on video.
Very good. All right. Is it attainable?
I'd like to think so.
And do you have the skill levels and the things that you need to acquire to make that happen? And you don't have to answer me. I'm just kind of going.
Well, I could, yes.
That's what
I'm
makes
pretty
it
confident.
attainable, realistic. And then last but not least, what's the time frame?
A year.
Okay. All right. Lord? No. Okay. David?
For me, I would like to have my CC and CL by the end of the year. I think it's very attainable. I don't think it's that complicated. And I do have what I need. I will be measuring it by my manuals and by being in action. So I'd like to think it's possible. That's what I'm shooting for.
It's possible by May or April.
Okay,
for
then.
you.
Or then May or April. But end of the year conservatively.
One of the things I was reading kind of said, if it's a real goal, you usually have to change something about what you're doing to make it happen. That's part of the attainable. Whether it's, I was reading something about someone's study, okay, they wanted to get A's. So they need to put a little more time into studying. So maybe you put a little more time into thinking about speech ideas, writing down speech ideas, making sure that you're on track, checking back to say, okay, I have this number of speeches to do. Does anyone else want to share? Winston?
So by the end of the year, I want to be leading workshops, and I want to speak more clearly, less filler words, more fluently.
Okay. So specific, all right? Some of it's measurable because I can measure filler words. The speak more slowly for those of you who have that. I'm not sure that you don't need to create I don't know, I thought I heard you say speak more slowly, but I've heard several people say speak more slowly. You might want to think about how you measure that, because I think that sometimes we talk about rhythm. So sometimes you might want to speak quickly, and sometimes for emphasis slowly. And so you may want to develop some type of rhythm and maybe read something about how people do that. Maybe talk to some of the more experienced speakers about how that happens. But that's what I mean by measurable. You really want to set some criteria for how am I going to know that I've done this. Anybody else want to share?
I'll share mine. To complete at least 12 speeches by December 30th, 2016, and to compete in the upcoming contest in February, and to make every meeting this year.
All right. Now see, hers is measurable. She said 12 speeches in 12 months. So if it's January and you haven't spoken, you're behind. You have to catch up.
I did last week.
But I'm being so serious about that because that's very measurable. If you're gonna give one speech a month and January's almost over and you haven't given a speech, whoever has my sign-up sheet, whoever you are, you should be signing up, right? Okay.
Right.
Anybody else want to share? Okay. Gabe?
Project more,
Project more.
and then
Okay.
speak up for louder, slow down.
Slow down, project more,
Yeah.
speak louder. Now, how long is it going to take you to do that?
Good questions.
No, that's what the So you say,
Hopefully, I do it every speech in a couple of months.
okay, so every couple of months, and when do you think it'll happen? Within this year, or is this a really long-term goal?
Whatever it is, hopefully.
Okay, and how are you planning on measuring it? And I'm your mentor, so we can talk about it, but we need to measure. You know, I need to know that you're slowing down, and, okay, we'll talk about it, make sure it's written down. Anybody else? Yes, Linda.
I'd like to give 10 advanced speeches by the end of the year.
Mhm.
That's a challenge.
Right.
I want to take on more roles, other than 1 or 2. I've really got to get more involved. And I want to write down my speech ideas, because I have a hard time figuring out what I want to talk about.
Okay.
Those are the main things
Okay.
that come, and just to overcome my fear of giving a speech that I'm not 100% confident about. You know, if it's not just perfect, I find a reason not to want to give it.
Okay.
So,
Well, I have 1 minute. I hope the exercise has helped you somewhat to kind of talk about where you want to be this time next year when we're standing here.
Yes.
Linda's was really specific. She wants to give 10 advanced speeches. It is almost the end of January, so you need to start measuring whether you're making that happen. So for all of us, let's write down our goals. And let's make them specific, let's make them measurable, let's make them time-bound, achievable, and realistic, and I think we'll all be smarter for it. I think that's my 9 o'clock.
Well, just, maybe by a show of hands, how many people felt that was helpful? And by show of hands, how many would say it was a little bit helpful or very helpful? Was it very helpful?
Very helpful.
Was it, now, was it just a little bit helpful? Was that
Pep talk.
good pep talk? Awesome.